Good evening, Hillman Nation. Welcome to Lesson 3 of Slay Student Loan Debt 101. My name is Natalie Jean-Baptiste. I'm a bankruptcy attorney and student debt relief advocate. I was able to successfully wipe out six figures of my own student loan debt through the bankruptcy process, and I've been on a mission to liberate people from student loan debt ever since. I am excited and grateful for the opportunity to teach at Hillman. I am confident that the information that you learn in this course will be life changing for you. And with that, let's get into lesson 3. I just want to give you a brief overview of the course and the 5 lessons that we will be going over. So, we've already covered the fundamentals of student loans in lesson 1 and also repayment options in lesson 2. Tonight, we're going to go over loan forgiveness. Next week will be delinquency and default. And last but not least, we'll discuss bankruptcy. I just want you all to save the date. There's going to be a bonus week 6. It's going to be a live Q&A. So I will be answering your questions live here on TikTok. The live will be on Wednesday, March 12th at 8 p.m. Okay, so for tonight's lesson, we're going to discuss loan forgiveness and the different repayment or the different forgiveness options, right? So, first, we'll discuss public service loan forgiveness, which is the best loan forgiveness option out of all of them. There's also teacher loan forgiveness, but this is a very narrow program and not many people qualify for it. There's also nurse loan forgiveness and then IBR forgiveness. So this is income-based repayment forgiveness. And then I will also discuss different cancellation or discharge options that are not forgiveness programs, but still ways to eliminate the debt. Okay. So first and foremost, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. This is available to borrowers who work full time in public service jobs. So, for qualifying employment, it has to be any employment with a federal, state, or local government agency, entity, or organization, or a not for profit organization that has been designated as a 501c3. It can't just be any nonprofit because there are different types of nonprofit. It needs to specifically be a 501c3, and this includes military service, public safety, law enforcement, public health services, public education, public library services, public interest law. So if it falls into one of those categories and you're doing government or nonprofit work for a 501c3, then your employer qualifies. But there is a tool online to help you search your specific employer where you can look up and be sure that they are a qualifying employer. And under this program, you have to make 120 qualifying monthly payments, and this would have had to be after October 1st, 2007, because that's when the program was introduced. So once a borrower has made 120 qualifying payments, the remaining balance, no matter what it is forgiven. Okay, so the requirements, I just want to go over this so that you guys are clear because so many people are, fuzzy on the details or they don't understand how this works. They think, oh, I work for the government or I work for a school. So it must, this must apply to me and it's automatic. It's not automatic. You have to make sure you check all the boxes and you're staying on top of it. So you have to work at least 30 hours a week or meet your employer's definition of full time, whichever is greater. Only direct loans qualify for PSLF. Let me say this one more time for the people in the back. Only direct loans qualify for PSLF. If you have other types of loans like FFEL loans or Perkins loans, they do not qualify. So you can consolidate it into a direct loan, but you have to take that step, and the payments that you made prior will likely not count. They were doing some account adjustments before, but with the new administration, that's out the window, and that program expired anyway. So you're not going to get credit for that. But if you are just starting your journey with loan repayment and you work in public service, you can apply for a direct consolidation loan. But if you're making payments on any other loans, it's not going to qualify for public service loan forgiveness. All right. One other thing to note about this program is that the 120 payments do not need to be consecutive. So, for example, if you work for the government or nonprofit for 5 years, then you decide you want to work for the private sector, you can come back and just pick up where you left off as long as you have a total of 120 payments. Okay, so PSLF tracking. So you are encouraged to periodically submit an employment certification for public service loan forgiveness form so that your progress can be tracked and to make sure that you're meeting the eligibility requirements, right? And those forms are also on studentaid.gov where you can submit the certification and have it signed off by your employer and periodically submit this form so that you know exactly how many qualifying payments you have. After the borrower has completed 120 qualifying payments, it will need to submit the actual forgiveness application. So the PSLF application for forgiveness is also available on studentaid.gov. Okay, so one thing that's great about PSLF is that the loan amounts forgiven under this program are not considered taxable income. Okay, so next let's talk about teacher loan forgiveness. So this is available to borrowers who teach full time for 5 complete and consecutive academic years in certain elementary and secondary schools and educational service agencies that serve low income families. These are known as Title I schools, and they're in certain low income areas. So if you're a teacher in a Title I school, then this program is for you. And you can receive up to $17,500 of forgiveness on direct or FFEL loans. Okay. Before I move on to nurse loan forgiveness, let me just make a note about teacher loan forgiveness. You cannot double dip. So if you have more than $17,500 of student loan debt, I suggest you opt for the public service loan forgiveness instead, because if you take the teacher loan forgiveness after the 5 years, you have to start all over. So the 5 years that you put in working for a public school will not count, and you'll have to make an additional 120 payments. So it's not worth it if you have more or a lot more than $17,500 of loans. So it's important to know this because you can't go back once you've gotten the forgiveness under the teacher loan forgiveness program. Nurse loan forgiveness. So there's a Perkins loan cancellation and discharge. So this is for registered and employed, those nurses registered and employed full time, and the loans are forgiven over a period of 5 years. The other nurse forgiveness program is the Nurse Core Loan Repayment Program. So registered nurses who work at least 32 hours a week at a qualified facility. So it has to be what's known as a critical shortage facility. Those nurses can get 60% of their student loan paid in 2 years of employment. Borrowers have the option of getting an additional 25% of their loans paid by the Nurse Corps program for a third year. Income-based repayment. So this is where most forgiveness options come in for most people. If you're not in government or public service, you're not a nurse or a teacher, then you're looking at the income-based repayment. And if you guys are not familiar with income-based repayment or don't understand how it works, please go back to lesson 2 and review that so you can calculate what your payment would be based on your income and household size, right? So the borrowers on the income-based repayment plan will have any remaining balance on their loan forgiven after 20 or 25 years, depending on when they took out their loans. The income-driven repayment plan application is available and includes the option to enroll in the IBR plan. This is one of the only income-driven repayment plans that's still available. The application is still available, even under the new administration. It's not in jeopardy. IBR is safe. It was enacted by Congress in 2009, so it's not going anywhere. So if you're tired of being in save purgatory, waiting for the government or the courts to make a decision, and you don't need to take advantage of the save forbearance, I suggest you look into the income-based repayment plan so you can move on with your life, and then the loan balance would be forgiven after 20 or 25 years, depending on when you took out your first loan. Okay. Next, we're going to look at loan discharge and cancellation options, right? So these are not forgiveness plans, but these are other ways where your loans can be eliminated based on your circumstance, right? So closed school discharge, false certification discharge, death discharge, total and permanent disability discharge, and bankruptcy. One thing I forgot or I neglected to add to this slide is the borrower defense to repayment. So in cases where you were misled by your school, in cases of like false advertising, or you felt like you got scammed by your school, the borrower defense to repayment is also a way to get the loan wiped out. The closed school discharge is for a school that closed down before you were able to complete your program. False certification is in cases of forgery where, debt was taken out in your name or identity thefts, things like that. Death discharge, if you die or the student that you borrowed money for, like if you took a Parent Plus loan for a student who dies, then you are eligible for a death discharge, and all you need to do is submit a copy of the death certificate to the loan servicer, and the debt will be discharged. Total and permanent disability discharge is for people who are injured, can't work, um, they're ill or injured and can't work, and I'll go into the detail on that. And then bankruptcy is for those who file for bankruptcy and have student loans and go into an additional process called the adversary proceeding. And that's going to be lesson 5, and I'm going to go into that in detail. And you'll learn whether or not you qualify for a bankruptcy discharge. Okay, so the TPD, or total and permanent disability discharge, is for there are 3 ways to get a discharge under this plan. So the first is if you're a veteran, right? So if you're a disabled veteran, you can submit documentation from the VA stating that you have a service-related disability, and your loans can be discharged under that program. Number 2 is if you are receiving Social Security Disability, or SSI, you can submit the SSA award letter stating that your next scheduled disability review will be within 5 to 7 years from the date of your most recent disability determination. It can't be shorter than that, or the award letter is not going to be sufficient to get your student debt discharged. And last but not least, this is the one I deal with the most, is certification from a physician that you are totally and permanently disabled. So the physician must certify that you're unable to engage in any substantial gainful activity by reason of a medically determinable physical or mental impairment that can be expected to result in death, has lasted for a continuous period of not less than 60 months, which is 5 years, or it can be expected to last for a continuous period of not less than 60 months. So the form, the application is available on studentaid.gov or from your loan servicer. And, if you have a doctor who follows you regularly and is willing and able to certify that you are totally and permanently disabled, you fill out your portion of it, you have the doctor fill out their portion, sign off on it, and submit it, and you will be eligible to have all of your federal loans discharged. Okay, so that covers forgiveness and cancellation. I just want to point out the different resources that you can look to get more information. StudentAid.gov has all the information you need about federal student loans. You can also create your own FSA ID and log in, look at your repayment options, look at your specific account status and history, things like that. So it's a great resource. Then the other sites that I point out there are on studentaid.gov, so you can get updates on the SAVE plan and what's going on there. You can download the forms that you need for whatever you're looking to apply to. PSLF tool is great. You can use the PSLF tool on that website to search your employer's EIN number to see if they're a qualifying employer. You can submit the tracking forms. Everything is there. The other two websites are also great resources to look to for resources and assistance with your student loan. Okay, so just want to highlight again the three services that I offer. I help with, debt settlement and negotiation, help you stop creditor harassment. I'll teach you how to do that, prepare the forms and letters that you need, and guide you through that process. Also, document preparation. So, the different applications that you see on studentaid.gov, the loan forgiveness applications, enrolling in the IDR plan, applying for consolidation loans. I can assist with all of that. And of course, bankruptcy, Chapter 7 and Chapter 13 bankruptcies, and the adversary proceeding to get your student debt discharged. If you have questions or you want to learn more and you just want to book a quick free discovery call with me, explain your situation to see, what your roadmap to freedom would look like, go to slaystudentloandebt.com and book your appointment. This is my contact information. You can call my office or you can email me. If you email me, I'm happy to send you a copy of the slides from this presentation. So if you want a copy of the slide deck, I know it's hard to follow a lot of this stuff if you're watching it on your phone on TikTok. So if you need a copy of the slide deck, I'm happy to send it to you by email. Just email me, please, and I'll send that over. And last but not least, the disclaimer, I am an attorney, but I'm not your attorney. So this is for educational purposes only. So the information I taught you today, it's not to be construed as legal advice, and an attorney-client relationship is not created by your attendance here tonight. Okay, and I look forward to seeing you all in lesson 4 next week. If you have questions in the meantime, you can comment on this video, DM me. I try to address every question, every concern, and then periodically between lessons, I'll pop on and drop a video to answer your specific concerns, especially when I'm getting a lot of requests or a lot of the same question. Okay, so I will see you guys soon, and I'll talk to you soon. Have a good night, everybody.